You unlock this passage with the key of inquiry. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of ink and parchment, of faith and fracture, of silence between the verses. You're moving into a realm not only of sight and sound, but of theological distortion. Welcome to the Canon Zone. In tonight's episode, a family gathers, not around the warmth of a fire, but at the flickering edge of certainty. What begins as Bible study descends into something stranger, deeper, something no commentary dares to follow. They said it was the only trustworthy version, the King James Bible, inspired, preserved, sacred. But then came the others, modern translations with ancient roots, older than the King James by centuries, codices from Alexandria, brittle and buried. And yet some called them corrupt, not because of what they were, but because of what they weren't. The fear that faith built on tradition might crumble if the ground beneath it shifted. What if the only reason we cling to one version is because the truth is too terrifying to hold with an open hand? 6 days, that's how long it took, they say. But the sun, the cosmic timepiece, didn't appear until day 4. What then was a day? And if time is God's servant, not his master, could those days stretch further than we ever imagined? In this dimension, death existed before Adam. Not spiritual death, but something older, natural, unspiritual, necessary. Dust returns to dust, but was it always this way? Or are we just catching up to the rhythm of a clock older than Genesis? All have sinned echoes from Romans, but then Zechariah and Elizabeth called righteous, John the Baptist drawing all Judea. Are these contradictions, or are we simply misreading shadows as substance? Here all becomes elastic, it bends, it breathes. It doesn't mean every grain of sand, just the shore we can see. Language, like prophecy, wears a mask, and sometimes that mask grins. They say the disciples stole the body, that the resurrection was a hoax, a mass hallucination. But why would a hoax leave behind centuries of belief, millions of martyrs, and a movement unwilling to die? In the dark corners of archaeology and ancient scrolls, fragments surface, not to prove faith, but to prove someone was there. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it, not the voice of conspiracy, but the sound of an empty tomb. Genesis chapter 3 speaks of a serpent, but not Satan, not yet. Just a Nachash, shining, subtle, enchanting. He doesn't roar, he whispers. He doesn't force, he invites. But in the shadows of Isaiah and Revelation, the silhouette grows. The serpent becomes a dragon, and the dragon a devil. Not a rewrite, but a reveal. Scripture doesn't contradict, it foreshadows. In this zone, identity is layered like prophecy, and truth is a shadow that grows longer the closer you get to the light. They descended, beings called the sons of God. They saw the daughters of men, and they took them. From their union, giants. From their falls, a fracture in heaven. This is no myth. Job knew these sons. Jude warned of them. Revelation remembers them. The war didn't start at Armageddon. It started when heaven's watchers stepped off their posts and fell. They said the Exodus never happened. No proof, no trail. But they looked in the wrong time. Because when the timeline shifted back to the Middle Bronze Age, everything changed. The slaves were there. The cities fell. Jericho's walls collapsed, just as written. The story was never false, just misfiled. In this zone, time is not a straight line. It bends, and sometimes it breaks. You've heard the verses, you've seen the shadows, but the truth? It may not reside in any one translation, tradition, or text. It lingers between the lines, haunting the margins of interpretation, waiting for the seeker brave enough to ask not just what does it say, but why does it matter? Because once you question the ink, you may find the page itself is alive. You have just exited the canon zone.